Hello everyone. For this class I have this pre-recorded section and I'm calling it week 1 part 2, and my plan is to have some discussion on a bright space, which I'm going to show you in a minute, and then I'm going to look at some important concerns about IoTs, and next we look how we can turn one ordinary thing or item to IoT enabled item. Then we move to look at some other applications which are also very important when we are talking about Internet of Things. For discussion, I want to look at smartphones. Most of people around the world are using phones or some sort of smartphones these days, and these phones are very advanced these days. They have very many sensors and lots of capabilities. They can capture and observe many information about you. I wonder, what do you guys think? What do you think your phone knows about you? What kind of information the phone is observing or capturing from your everyday life? Is it your health? Is it your fitness? Is it the information, your location, what it is? I want you to discuss about this matter and think that, are you happy with that? Do you like that your phone is observing that kind of information? And the forum is on Bright Space. When you come to the week 1 class 2, I change my view to student view. So on the main page, when you go to IoT week 1 and you scroll down, you will see week 1 class 2. This will be the discussion that you have. There will be also a link where I put this video that I'm recording right now. So here, discuss with each other. I check it later on today. This is my thread. I put this just a few minutes ago. Yes, the truth is I rely on my phone a lot, but sometimes I'm worried that if I lose it or if it gets stolen, what happens to me? One thing that I use a lot in my phone is the organizer, the timetable and the reminder or calendar that I have on my phone. And that helps me with my everyday life, with my tasks and things that I am doing during the day. Yes, I am worried because if someone gets hand on my phone, will know a lot about my work, my life, everything. So that is one concern. So my privacy and my security is one aspect that comes along. But also I find it very useful. That is the challenge and trade-off for this high-tech device. I want to know what you think about this. Just come here and type a little bit, start a new thread, or just reply to this thread if you like, and I come back and check what do you guys think about it. That is one thing that is very interesting these days. There are many articles about it, many researchers, how we can minimize the risk involved, how we can make it more secure and more private. You know that there are many phones that are using your thumbprint to open and operate, but on the other hand there are also hackers that can hack that. So there are many challenges involved. I want to know what do you guys think. Take your time and discuss and type a sentence or two to discuss what do you think about this matter. So many of you might say, yeah, I like my phone, it is very cool, it is helping me, I'm using it for this, I'm using it for that, and so on, and I have my points and so on. And some of you might say, no, old phones were better, they were doing only one single thing and it was more useful, and the new fancy phones are not very good because they have all the information that you have. For example, if you have your home saved on the GPS and you lose your phone, someone finds it, can find the address to your home and can also rob your house. So those are all the concerns that the person that might say no has in mind. There are also other concerns that are involved in any IoT device, not only smartphones, in any IoT device, because later on we will learn that most of them are using wireless technology. And when we are talking wireless technology, the most common wireless technology around the house is Wi-Fi. And unfortunately, there are many ways to hack and interfere with that Wi-Fi signal. So security perspective of IoT becomes very important and crucial. And later on we will learn that how we can make the security more strong, and we can actually optimize the security of IoT device that we have around the house. Another aspect for looking at any IoT or developing, for example, those in industry, they are looking at the cost that is involved in IoT devices and development of any new thing that is connected to IoT. So they want ordinary items ideally to be able to connect to wireless technology, but sometimes the cost of developing a new thing is less than enabling ordinary item, and sometimes it's vice versa. In next slide, I am going to explain what do I mean. So cost is very important. Another important aspect that comes along when we're talking about IoT is ease of use. What do I mean by that is when we are talking about healthcare devices or health providers facilities. So most of the time we are dealing with elderlies. We are dealing with disabled people and very old people. So we want them to be able to use this device. If a device is too complicated to use, there is no point of asking a grandpa or grandma to use it. They wouldn't like it, and they might use it for 1 day or 2 days and then they leave it or turn it off. So ease of use, the applicability is very important when we're talking about especially healthcare, or not only the healthcare but also another aspect is in rural areas, when we have monitors, when we have things that are helping, for example, farmers. So we want them to be as simple as possible. And also for if we have some stuff outside in the farm, we want them to be waterproof. So we want some sort of robustness in that device. So these are all the aspects that come along when we're talking about Internet of Things. I want you to think about it and search, if you are interested, search about it, how we can actually improve those concerns about IoTs. Yeah, as I said, the health is very important. One example is the wearable devices that have sensor and they are monitoring your health and fitness, and they are very useful. They are affecting the life of people around the world in a good way. I know many devices are making us lazy, as some of you guys mentioned in previous class, but there are also good things that are happening. For example, blood sugar monitoring devices, for example, the fitness, movement monitoring smartwatches, and so on. I mentioned about the cost. Yeah, I said that sometimes developing a new device from scratch is less costly compared to enabling a device that is ordinary, but we want it to be IoT enabled or connected to a wireless communication system. But sometimes it is the opposite. Sometimes we want to stick to that ordinary item because we want to avoid any waste, or we we are just happy with that ordinary thing. We just want to connect it to any wireless telecommunication system, or we just want that particular item to capture or observe some particular information or data. So we want to minimize the cost of that. I wonder how we can do this, how we can minimize the cost, and how we can actually turn one ordinary item or thing around the house. Look around yourself. Right now you're sitting on a chair and your computer is on a table. Look around yourself. What are the items that you think you can turn them to IoT enable? Ideally, we are looking at something that is not smart. It is just very classical item. I'm looking at a chair for my example. I'm looking at the chair, how we can turn ordinary chair to IoT enable chair. Just take a minute and think about it. Well, what comes to my mind is that I want my chair to observe my movement. How often do I sit on the chair? So that can be done by installing a sensor on the seat. I want to be able to check my weight with my chair, my fitness, and also my location. Not for myself necessarily. For example, if you have a grandma living far from you and she lives on her own, you want to have that in place in her house to just check, is she doing okay? Is she doing well? Is she moving enough around the house, or she's sitting on that chair more than usual? So these are the things that we can do, and it can be done by installing sensors. I'm not saying that installing sensor on this chair is cheap or cost effective. No, but this is one example to consider how we can use sensors and connectivity. What do I mean by connectivity is we can have a small transmitter that sends signal that is captured by sensors and send it to your phone, for example, or sends to your email. Maybe once a day, an email that you receive and says your grandma is doing well and she was moving around the house. Camera 1, camera 2 captured, and the chair is showing normal weight and normal movement. That's all you need to know. So that is a small amount of information that can be sent from that transmitter under the chair, or some central monitoring system around the house that involves the chair. So this is one example. There are many other examples, but now I'm going to move to another application of IoT. So we know that these days one topic is very popular, and that is green. You hear that we want to live green, we want to live, we want to make Mother Nature happy, we want to live with using minimum power around this planet, and we want to keep our resources. What do I mean by that is we want to look at the power consumption. We are all using many sources of energy and power. What do I mean by power? This power can be water, can be any source of energy. It can be electricity, it can be any type of energy source that you would imagine. We can all think about it, and we can minimize the waste that we have. Many technologies around the house are turning to smart, and by smart means that they can monitor what do they do. One particular futuristic technology is a fridge that can detect the expiry food of expiry date of food that you are putting inside the fridge. I should fix that, to detect the expiry date of food by scanning the barcode when we put groceries in the fridge. That is useful because then we will be notified by a screen or some sort of app on our phone that, okay, I'm running out of milk or I'm running out of eggs, so tomorrow when I'm coming back home, I can buy that from shop. Or some fruits that I have in the fridge are going bad, so I should consume them before they go bad, or something like that. And another thing that you see around the house that is smart, but it might not necessarily be IoT enabled, is the heater or warmer around the house. So most of us have the heater that has feedback from room temperature, and it has a central monitor that we can set for average temperature, and then the heater works until reaching that point and then goes off temporarily. Why it goes off? It goes off for saving the energy, because if it keeps working, the room temperature goes higher than our desired temperature, and there is no point of doing that. So these are the items that we can look at them and see how we can actually turn them to IoT enabled. A very nice project a group of students did last year was a water level monitoring system. So they were thinking that in many areas in Ireland there is a big water tank, and there are sensors in the water tank, and they are not necessarily connected to any wireless communication system. They don't send signal to anywhere. They only have indicators on the tank that the water level is too high or too low, or it's just in medium range. So they had a container, and the container had two sensors on the top and at the bottom, and then once the level of water was reaching the sensors, was sending the signal that saying that okay, the water level is too low, and a relay was activated to actually represent the opening a valve to turn on the water tap to fill up the tank. So that is one particular example of saving energy, monitoring energy, and so on. I'm going to stop at here, and I want you guys to review what I explained in previous class and also this class, and please look at the discussion page and write for me what do you think, and do you agree with this thread that I have here, or do you have other thread that you want to add to this forum? And that's it. I see you guys for next class, which will be the lab next week. Thank you. Bye bye.